You guys think down below. We are getting super close. Starting to drop a little bit here. That's to be expected. We do got some volume coming up that I think is going to be holding pretty steady. Right now, it's definitely just kind of like a waiting game. The whole market's a little sideways, but we're holding up super well. I think we're going to do a lot better today. We are seeing a little bit of volume coming back down. We did break out that trend yesterday, which was pretty nice. Now we just got to kind of watch and learn. How's it going, Mr. Nacho? How's it going, Bubbo? Give me a woof woof. It's been a while. The whole market right now is looking pretty good. We are starting to kind of set up for something bigger, though. That's the thing. Right now, we are setting up for a little bit bigger moves. I don't think a lot of people's really paid attention to what we've seen, like, with gold, silver, stocks recently, also some of the news. But I think overall we're going to do pretty good. It's just going to take a few. We're starting to pick up volume, which is really what we're kind of looking for here. We need that volume to kind of pick up. And which it is right now. We are starting to see it pick up here on the short term. Oh, yeah. We're eventually going to see that 44,000. I do agree with that. Helium, I don't really know anything about it. Good morning, Kyle. I don't really know anything about that one. Yeah, if you take a look at like the daily and the weekly. Get to the weekly here. Yeah, the weekly is even indicating that we could go as far as like $1 on XRP. Also, you can kind of see some of my targets here. We're getting closer back to that 65,000, which is to be expected, though. I expect it to kind of move this way. Yeah, you take a look at the weekly chart, you can tell that we're coming down. If we come back closer down to the moving average of August 2024, we will more than likely hit the 50,000s. Now, if we touch the same moving average like we did back in September 2023, it'd be a different story. We would drop even lower than 44,000. But the 44,000 is probably going to be where we kind of channeled off right here back in January of 2024. This was right where we kind of pulled back off right before we seen that pump. So now we're really just trying to find consolidation around this area. But right now we are playing very short term, though, because these weekly charts, we are going to see small inclines with the declines as well, which is to be expected. I do expect that with even the weekly that we are going to see another drop soon, but I do expect we're going to see a short-term pump. I'm expecting a short-term pump here in just a little bit. You also got to think, we are getting right to where we've been at with the 65.2 that I talked about previously on my target whenever we seen this big drop from 96 all the way down to 65. We are getting super close. If we break down below this, we'll probably see 44,000 a lot quicker. But I'm wanting to expect some kind of pattern like this, kind of getting at least back up to the $72,000 to the $74,000 range. I think that would be a good scenario for Bitcoin. You can also kind of see it playing out here on XRP. Same levels, same Fibonacci retracements, support and resistance. I do expect that we are going to see some movement like that, getting ready to get closer to maybe like a double bottom. But if we pull a position like we have here, kind of like this would send us back down to that $1.18 very quickly, which would then impact the whole market. If you guys are just now tuning in, make sure you hit that like button. It really helps out the channel. Yeah, I think XRP is going to gain more holders over time. The only bad thing about XRP right now is that they're still selling OTC over every single month. That is probably the only thing adding extra supply into the market. It's just a matter of when they sell it. Honestly, if they would put all the supply out there, it would have been better odds back in 2018. But yeah, I do think that we are going to kind of see this kind of rebound. I'd like to see it hit at least a 158. Same with Ethereum 2300s. Also Bitcoin, very similar pattern up to the 76, back to target 1. Target 1 is going to be the one that where a lot of people kind of started to get liquidated before, because a lot of people didn't think it'd drop below target 1 going down to target 2 very quickly, and it did. But you can see even from 126,000, if you look at it from this standpoint, 126 days, we're down 48% on Bitcoin. So I could expect it going a little further down. Like today, we've got around $279 million liquidated, about 50-50 on long and shorts, 156 million longs, 122 million shorts, over 118,000 traders been liquidated. Still currently in extreme fear. We keep going up and down between 10 to 8. We are getting below those numbers very quickly. You can also see the 2.27 trillion market cap. We're still down around 2 trillion ever since we hit the all-time high on Bitcoin of 126,000. Because if you take a look at like the 15-minute chart too, this is where a lot of people kind of messed up here. When I talk about two doji candles mean usually one doji candle will look like this. It'll kind of like come up, end up getting like a position like this, and then coming back the same direction. But when you have two like this, what it means is usually that you're going to see a same trend here, back down, and usually it's bigger drops. Let me go back to the daily on Bitcoin. You can kind of see we had two of them right there, so we're following the same trend back down to the support. That usually sends us back down to the same area, but the 15-minute is also signaling something similar. We had another one here. We had another one here as well, and then you've seen that reversal up, then back down. These moves are going to not be very much because they're on the 15-minute, but you can tell that it also was playing out on the daily chart. Even on the 1 hour candlestick, you can kind of see how we're doing right here. We had that nice little pump back up. We're seeing that massive sell-off after this doji. See, one doji candle here, and you see that we pumped and then dropped. Doji candle is kind of like a reversal. So if we would have had two doji candles, we would have more than likely seen this continue to kind of rise back up to the 69. But the sudden sell-off is coming from like silver and gold. You take a look at silver, it's currently at $78, currently down 7%. Gold is now below $5,000 again, currently down around 2.64%. Stocks fell about 1% today. All the stocks are currently red. Amazon down 2%, Netflix down 5%. You got Microsoft down 1%, EVgo 4%. You got Disney down 6%. S&P 500 is the big one, down 1%, with Apple being down 3% as well. So you can see even the stock market is opening up red. Robinhood's currently down around 8%. Coinbase is down 7.6%, which is huge. So that's something to really pay attention to. Solana is now still below the $80 range. When we consolidate quite a bit in these areas, that can cause a lot of potential moves that would have been triggered, such as, stop losses, take profits, or, purchase orders at a specific amount. Usually like the bottom dollar, like $50 Litecoin will more than likely have some buys there, or maybe even some sells, definitely if we have some support there. Coming here on Bitcoin, you can also see it as well. A lot of people is watching out for this 65.2. The 65.2 is going to be the bounce. We're either going to be able to bounce up or we're going to see it tank again. Seeing it tank on Bitcoin will cause the whole market to end up just like stocks. Probably seeing similar numbers, 3 to 5% losses if we do break below this support very quickly. But a lot of people is expecting that it is going to climb back up. Those doji candles are not something to play with. Those doji candles mean indecisiveness within the market, guys. So Whenever you look at those, a lot of times you can predict what can happen next. But if you see a doji candle coming right behind another doji candle, that is more than likely going to follow the same trend that you were heading before the doji candle. One doji candle is a reversal of the trend. So if you had three doji candles is complete indecisiveness. So then you would be gambling. If there's four doji candles in a row, which is kind of rare, you will see a pump. It is always considered to be a pump 98% of the time, statistically, whenever you look at four doji candles in the past, like on Bitcoin, Ethereum, S&P, gold and silver would also pretty much indicate that. A lot of analysis been going on behind the scenes with like gold and silver stocks with a lot of candlesticks lately, as AI is starting to really paint a picture. But a lot of the AI stuff right now is taking massive hits. A lot of the trading bots that you see on Claudebot, all that stuff, not been doing too well. Not been doing too well. You've had some that's kind of profited, but I mean, that's just like a normal trader in general. So you can kind of see how that goes and flows. If you guys are tuning in, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. I still do think that we're going to see kind of like a double bottom pattern. But if we see this kind of come back down, break below the support, we will more than likely fall even harder down to the 2370s. 1700 Ethereum would probably be a big target for it. Trump, has currently hit a 365-day low ever since it recently opened. It turned a year old recently. Cardano's also seen a massive pullback within just the last hour. See, the candlestick is pretty big. Pepe had a nice little run this morning. Same with H-bar. It's seen a very similar pattern. H-bar really struggled right here, right before the drop on the resistance. Same with Bonk. I would like to see Bonk kind of increase, but it's been really taking out Solana, and some of the meme coins have really started to pop off on Bonk. Shiba Inu's another one. Shiba Inu's been selling off for a while now. It had a nice little pump back in December of 2024, but ever since then, it's kind of been on the bear market. Now, just kind of waiting to see, watching the ride here on Bitcoin, as I still do think we're going to hit around that 72,000. Dropping below the 65.2 and holding would invalidate that, though. I mean, going short on alts right now, I don't think that would be something that I would probably want to do, just because that we're seeing tons of volatility, and you're also seeing tons of other traders picking up longs. Let me see the number here. Yeah, see, right now there's a lot more shorts than there are longs, so they'll probably end up trying to liquidate here soon. I think once we jump back up closer to that 72,000, they are around, I think, 30% worth of shorts that have high leverage that is going to be set to be liquidated, worth around 700, 800 million. So whenever you see those kind of numbers pop up, you will notice a lot of times that those numbers will hit. We've seen that sudden drop, but we did have a huge long get liquidated. That long that was liquidated happened on Hyperliquid, and it was worth right around $11.86 million itself. And it had an order of like $130 million short that was liquidated very quickly, too. Gold, silver, all that's moving around. Gold looks like it's getting ready to take another hit. If you take a look at Solana's kind of increasing back in volume. You can see some of the orders are starting to pick up too. Yeah, the 1 minute looks pretty good here. I'm hoping we see some of increase here on the short term. Should be able to. S&P 500 still looking pretty rough though on the 15 minute. Dropped pretty hard. Same with Coinbase stock. Coinbase stock is still currently going down. Since market open today, it's been going down. Same with Robinhood. Coinbase stock likes to follow a lot of the other market itself in general. Right now, there's a lot of traders being indecisive, like inside of the market itself. You got a lot of different things happening. A lot of people saying it's get ready to go, 30% lower. Some people saying it's getting ready to, move up just 5-6%. Honestly, I do think it's going to move up around 5 to 6% before it sees another drop. I mean, the RSI is still pretty low on it overall on the daily and the weekly. And I do think that they are going to liquidate a lot of these shorts because there's so many shorts that have, low amount of leverage that could be liquidated if Bitcoin even hits around 78,000. And if they don't take profit before that, they're more than likely going to take a big L on their profits. Remember, guys, none of this is financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. It's just entertainment purposes only. If you guys do like this content, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, as it really does help a lot. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask down below. Right now, we're just going to watch the 1 minute chart. Kind of just watching a 1 minute chart, kind of seeing how we're moving on to moving averages today. See, we still have a lot of room for that upside potential. You can see it here also on XRP. Same with Ethereum. They're all looking around the same. The Bitcoin dominance is still currently sitting around 58.4% on the day, which is pretty good. You guys can see it here, 10.2% on Ethereum. Yesterday, we had massive ETF net flow. We lost over $273 million in Bitcoin and around $129 million loss in Ethereum, totaling around $402 million, which is pretty big. Pretty big. Market cap still currently dropping. I do expect that we're going to see a bigger drop on the market cap eventually. It's just going to take some time. It's not going to be two sudden moves, but, it can happen. Also, if you guys ever watch Bitcoin Reserve from Michael Saylor, he is currently down over 13% on his Bitcoin position, currently down over $7 billion US dollar. His average cost is $76,000, which is huge. He's had a pretty big loss. You guys can see the hyper liquid Bitcoin value of 11.86 million, largest single liquidation order that happened just about an hour or two ago. Yeah, I would love to see altcoins come down just a little bit more. I know a lot of altcoins have not even seen what, they should be. Honestly, if you really take a look at some of these altcoins and you take a look at some of the volume and the volatility on them, a lot of them have not hit in the last 4 or 5 years really big profits, like Litecoin. If you take a look at Litecoin, it's been pretty much the same, within the last few years. Back in April of 2020, we was right around the $40s to $50 range. We was back here on 2022, also back in December of 2018. We was roughly around $40 to $50. So within probably the last 8 years, we're going back down to the same numbers that we seen back in 2018, 2020, 2022 on some of these altcoins. Even Litecoin, Chainlink, even this one, 2022, you can see that is currently back around that $8 range. We was even in the $8 range back in 2020. So you can see within the last 5 to 6 years, some of these altcoins have not seen some of these moves. Like even Kronos Coin, Crypto.com, 2023. We was back there again, 2022. Yeah, I follow ICP. I've actually been trading it in a very long time. I'm going to have to go to the daily chart on it. It's looking a little rough for some reason. But you can see it's also, been the same way. Back in 2023, back in April of 2022, it was worth a lot more. ICP has actually lost a lot of its value. Ever since I've even known ICP, it has a nice little jump every now and then during the bull runs, but overall it does take a huge hit. You can even see H-bar. H-bar back in 2024, that's kind of where we started at here, was around 2023 too, right back to where we are. Pepe's another one. Pepe's dropped pretty big. Dogecoin was back here in 2022, 4 to 6 year cycles pretty much. Altcoin's not really hitting as much as Bitcoin, XRP. XRP did pretty well. Ethereum, that's another one. This is one that a lot of people really miss out on. Back in 2023, we was here. We was actually a lot lower back in 2022. You can see that the first pump was really back in 2021, February, whenever we hit these levels. We had that nice run back in January of 2018, hitting around 1400, which we are super close to. So if we go all the way back to that, that is going to be a loss of almost 8 years worth of investors. All this pretty much just wiped out. So it is something to kind of watch out for. I think we are still following the 4-year cycles. I do think we will eventually get to like what they call as a super cycle. But I mean, it's all going to be personal preference. You just got to be able to wait on it. That's why a lot of traders kind of make money, and then the holders can sometimes, be holding for 6 to 8 years, not without any big profit, because they're not taking profits when the profits come. ETFs and all that stuff can be very impactful on the market. It really can. It can cause a lot of issues. If you are just now tuning into the stream, make sure you guys hit that like button. It really does help out the channel. It's free and it also helps show support. Right now we're not moving as much on the way down. Also, if you guys haven't, make sure you check out BitUnix with the link down below. Get a 20% bonus, and you can get up to 2,000 USDT in rewards. It does end in 25 days. Even if you already have an account with BitUnix, come and join. You can get up to 2,000 USDT just by joining. All you got to do is click the link and then join right here. If you don't have an account with BitUnix and want to sign up, you can get access by coming to here. You get a 20% bonus, also the 2,000 USDT in rewards, clicking right here, and make sure you have the invitation code Josh's Finance on there. Register and you can claim the rewards. Even if you already have an account, make sure you come and sign up. It could be an easily 2,000 USDT in trading rewards. So make sure you guys click that link down below in the description. If you do sign up using my link, you can get access to both of my trading view indicators along with my private Discord just by joining the exchange with the link down below in the description. So now let's get over to Bitcoin. Bitcoin's getting ready to retest that 66,000 right here. Let's pull this one off and let's go to this one. Because we're getting ready to see some more movement. I'm going to see if I can put on auto fib. Change the oscillator. Yeah, it does look like we are starting to see a little bit more of a trend here on the oscillator. Breaking down below this trend. Pretty big red candles there. We continue to kind of head down. It looks like we're getting ready to head down more. Same with Xrp. Currently have 17 viewers and only 4 likes, so make sure you guys hit that like button. Yeah, those doji candles right there really probably liquidated some people because we moved quick. Pretty big on Stellar Lumens too. Same with the Onyx coin. Silver still heading down, currently sitting around that $75 range. S&P 500 back down 1.12%, moved down a little bit since we last looked. Yeah, even Coinbase stock down almost 8.5% today. Huge numbers, losses. We've probably lost like $2 trillion just in the stock market today. There we go. There we go. A big drop. Yeah, this is a pretty big drop right here on Bitcoin. 65.6. Getting super close. Let's look at the 1 hour chart. The 1 hour will close here in about 5 minutes, so we'll get another candlestick. Let's go to the 15-minute. Yeah, sentiment is super low. So, I mean, even if you kind of take a look at some of these, like the fear and the greed index, you will see that even if you look based off of the chart, within just the last year, you will notice we haven't been as low as what we are. The lowest we hit was November 2025, 10 out of 100. Currently, we're at 8 out of 100. The lowest we went to was on February 5th with an extreme fear of around 5 out of 100. That was the lowest we've been since they've been charting the fear and greed index and using indications for predicting if there is fear and greed within the market itself. So that is huge. That is huge. So we're at one of the lowest points right now. Let's go to the 5-minute. If you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to ask down below. People in the stock market will more than likely probably go to lunch around 12, 12:30, going into 1:30. May have a little less volatility. So volume may slow down. Pretty high liquidation orders too today. How's it going, Eugene? Good morning. Getting back closer to the $1.50. We're not actually too far off the $1.50. We almost hit that yesterday. We broke out of the trend, but right now we're seeing massive drops in stocks, both crypto and now gold and silver dropping pretty big numbers, losing probably 2 to 3 trillion just within the stock market, probably around 1 trillion within the metals market, and a few hundred bill currently in the crypto market. I do think we're going to get closer back up to that $1.50 still. We are still currently within the trend. You know, Bitcoin still above the 65.2. This could be easily kind of like a retest where we see a position like this coming back up, which I explained the other day. Once we broke out of that trend, it was going to give us a sense of direction. And the biggest thing to really watch out for is going to be the CPI numbers tomorrow. So the CPI numbers are going to be a big indication of what's going to happen more than likely this weekend. We could see a massive sell-off before the end of the day just because people are fearing of the CPI numbers. So that's something that we got to look at. I will be on tomorrow during the CPI numbers. They do release at around 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. Oh, yeah. Any little bit of run we're seeing a lot of people kind of take profits and get their positions out. But that is kind of to be expected. See, there was something that we had news roughly about an hour ago that U.S. home sales fell roughly 8% last month, which was the biggest decline since 2022. Even job unemployment rates was a little bit good yesterday. We also did have unemployment within the last week. So there was over 227,000 people filed for unemployment this past week. So a lot of people is expecting the CPI numbers to be bad. So if the CPI numbers come out bad tomorrow, it could probably hurt metals, it could hurt stocks and both crypto. We'll more than likely see a lot of sells if we do have horrible CPI numbers tomorrow, which the CPI numbers are usually something that is pretty much heavily traded, definitely going into the next day. Usually the day before, that's whenever you see the big movement. And then you see that like stocks, crypto, metals, all that start to tank. And then when they release, that's whenever you see another dump or you see another pump. A lot of the times it could even be a little backwards. Just depends on what the market is wanting to do. With midterms and everything coming up, that's another thing to really watch out for. So you can see how we literally wicked right to that 65.3, right on that 65.2 of Bitcoin. That would also be putting us right where the 133, 134 is on XRP, which is pretty much following identical to Bitcoin. 5-minute chart is looking okay, though. If you guys are just now tuning in, make sure you hit that like button. I can't wait to see an interest rate cut. That'd be super good for the market. I say it's probably going to be Q2 before they actually do that, though. More than likely Q2 for the first rate cut. Zoom in a little bit closer as start to see some movement. I mean, I don't think Atkins is really going to do anything major. I think a lot of it's going to be just CPI numbers, automatic trading days. But yeah, you can tell Bitcoin's not really holding up super well. Bitcoin's down 2%. You know, XRP is currently up on the day, which is pretty cool. You also got Stellar Lumens move pretty good. Meme coins have took a toll, though. Meme coins have dropped a lot. Yeah, I would love to see a March rate cut. I would love to see that. Thank you, Ryan. I'm glad you've been in here ever since 2024. Chain link still up and down. Litecoin fell down almost 1% there. Pretty big move. Ethereum had a nice little doji candle there, so hopefully it's a reversal. If you're just now tuning in, guys, make sure you hit that like button. It really does help out the stream. We got 20 viewers, only 10 likes. Hitting the like button is free, guys. It helps the channel. It also helps the community grow. Trying to watch Ethereum here. I'd like to see it pump today. Looks like Pepe fell pretty hard. H-bar is holding up super well compared to some of the other market. Looks like silver pumped around 1.5%. S&P starting to fall again. Coinbase stock still down roughly 8%. Robinhood stock still down 8%. Pretty big numbers today within the stock market too. Look at that, another doji candle with a big green pump right behind it. Even though it's on the 1 minute, you can see how some of these doji candles that are indecisiveness can kind of predict the next trend. Within the 15-minute chart, though, we are looking super rough on the S&P. Caspa, I don't really know much about it. I don't know if they have like any catalysts or anything coming up. I haven't really looked at that coin in a very long time, honestly, Ryan. Dumping, that is when a lot of people, they kind of like dip out. They move. Dumping, that is when a lot of people, they kind of like dip out. They move market to market, and that's probably not the best way to go. Whenever they do that, what they do is they miss opportunities within the market, and they're just FOMOing in, panic selling basically when they move market to market like that. And it can impact their trades long term. It can benefit them short term, but is worse long term. That's from a statistical standpoint. Another big red candle coming on Bitcoin though. Looks like volume is picking up here on the left hand side of the screen. Also, if y'all haven't, make sure you check out BitUnix with the link down below. Get your 20% bonus, and you can get up to 2,000 USDT in trading rewards. Even if you're already a user on BitUnix, you can join this and trade to get rewards. So just make sure you come, join with the link down below in the description. Even if you have an account, you can participate in it and get the trading rewards up to 2,000 USDT. If you don't have an account, you can deposit and get up to 20% bonus. So like a $10,000 move over to BitUnix could give you roughly around 2,000 USDT. So make sure you do check it out. All you got to do is come, click any of these links down below, or click this link here on the top. Just sign up this way. You can get up to 2,000 USDT by joining with the link down below. New and existing users can join, so make sure you do that. If you do, also let me know in the Discord, and I'll be able to get you access to the TradingView indicator and the private Discord for free just by joining the exchange links down below. We're still currently sitting on the support here. We're not really moving as much as I anticipated because a lot of people is more than likely going to lunch. A lot of people that's trading stocks right now and inside of the market will probably take their lunch. Usually around this time, that's when they do it. Silver is moving back up again. Picked up around a 2% gain. S&P 500 with a big green coming behind it. Looks like the whole market is wanting to try to recover here around the same time. Be nice to see silver, gold, stocks, and crypto, all of that just jump up all of a sudden. Comment down below. Let me know what you all think, because right now we are looking pretty steady here. Looks like we're getting ready to see a little bit of a small recovery here on the shorter time frames. 15-minute is oversold big time. Currently sitting like a 13 out of 100 oversold. I honestly think XRP and Bitcoin is going to recover on the short term, but long term we're going to see it come down a little bit more and follow the 4-year bear cycle. If you take a look at this, you can tell Bitcoin, it's been holding down big positions here, getting closer back down to the same support of that 65.2, dropping below it and holding on a 4-hour or a daily candlestick would be pretty bearish for Bitcoin, XRP, and Ethereum and the whole market. But you can see even Ethereum's playing along with it, moving the same as Bitcoin. Bitcoin dominance is increasing. We broke out of this trend yesterday. We're getting super close to breaking this trend. We're either going to bounce off this trend, see a nice jump back to the resistance of $1.50, and then if we break that, that would be a good signal for around the $1.65, $1.70 more than likely on XRP. Bitcoin, that would also be indicating a bigger jump to around the 78,000 Bitcoin, but it would have to get above that 72,000 resistance, which is going to be super tough. That's going to be one of the major supports that once we broke, we did tank. So it's going to be really hard to get above that. I would love to see XRP go further, though. Also, if you are just now joining, make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe, as it really does help out the channel. Also helps the community grow. Not really seeing much volume and volatility right here. Very boring market. It looks like silver and gold's pretty much holding steady right now. S&P 500 had another doji candle, then reverse, and they're on the 1 minute. Pretty big candle right behind the doji. We've been seeing a lot of them lately. I think it's because a lot of the AI, you're seeing a lot of them get twisted. Pretty big move on Ethereum, though. Yeah, you can see even on the 3 minute, still kind of climbing down here, needing to consolidate one of these areas. Solana taking a big move now down below the $78 range. Litecoin still below that 52. Yeah, it looks like silver's another pretty big red candle. I mean, honestly, a lot of people think that the Clarity Act will cause, just the market to kind of run. I mean, it's going to give clarifications, like tax reasons, exchanges, all of that stuff, kind of like a regulation that they have to follow, along with, like, could be potentially removing some of the meme coins. I would like to see that happen. There's still a lot of like rug pulls and stuff out there. I think the Clarity Act will probably give a little bit more of a mixed signal, because you got to think, there's going to be good and bad both come out of that within the market. The whole reason that, crypto was made was kind of for, the black market. So if you really think about that, it kind of does impact crypto in general. But I mean, it could be something better for us in the long term, but could impact us short term too. I know a lot of people just think, once the Clarity Act hits, become a real thing, it's just going to moon. But I think it's just going to give us more insight on what we cannot do, what kind of rules we should follow, what rules does exchanges have to follow, and so forth. Because, they got to think, peer-to-peer, all that stuff, taxes. Even taxes today are still pretty rough for a lot of, crypto exchanges. Like Coinbase kind of gives you the new form, the 1099 DA, but a lot of these other ones still don't, which is pretty significant, which makes it super hard, so you have to do it by hand. So I mean, it could be a hit or miss, honestly. That's how I see it. But I do think that, there's going to be good come out of it, and probably some bad as well. It's like a rock and a hard place. That's how I see it. Because you got to think like Bitcoin mining, all that stuff, rewards, all of that's kind of coming into it now. Also, who is responsible? Is it the SEC, Department of Homeland, all that stuff? So it affects a lot of stuff in the United States. But I would love to see, you know, like XRP, Ripple, all the, you know, new people that's getting into banking, like Mr. Beast, Ripple, all of them's going to need to have some clarity on it. Because if everybody starts just doing it, it's going to become very saturated very quickly. Like, you got Trump's exchange wanting to come out. You have the USD1. You have a lot of stuff out there right now that's kind of going hand to hand. It's becoming more saturated, kind of making you pick and choose from one or the other, which then saturates the market and the market caps. So a lot of the supply and demand, as there's more demand, if they're throwing in way more supply on, you know, saturation of coins, that is going to be something that also impacts the market, because you're not going to see more volume coming in on Bitcoin if they're moving over to, you know, Stellar Lumens, Ethereum Classic, Litecoin, Chainlink, or some kind of rug coin, you know. So I think there's going to be good and bad that comes out of both. And I think that Clarity Act, it also got moved over to another department too, back in September of last year. Yeah, it got moved over to the United States Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs, which I don't think kind of correlates with what we want to go into in the market. See, what a lot of people don't understand about the ETFs, so I can go buy an ETF, spend that money, but it's not actually going to impact the price of Bitcoin and Ethereum and XRP. What they're going to do is they're going to have like options on it, perpetuals, all that stuff. So they're actually just going to be selling synthetic coins, basically, because you're not actually getting responsible coins. You're buying something like a stock. You're not really getting the actual supply. You're getting something that is kind of like synthetic. Whenever you do like Ethereum ETFs, Bitcoin ETFs, you're not actually able to move out them coins, move it from exchange to exchange, so forth, without actually having to sell the ETF. So that's another thing. So when big investors come in, that's what they don't realize sometimes with the ETFs, that you're kind of bringing in, you know, like synthetic options, not anything to really change the supply and demand, which increases the price in the long term. Because a lot of the ETFs only hold X amount of coins. They're not really actually buying a lot of them. Exactly. They're just like a placeholder. And a lot of the times, you know, a lot of them can be easily not bought or held, and that they can just leverage it. Leverage a lot in the ETFs. That's why BlackRock, all them wants to get involved, kind of want to deleverage as well, just because they make money off of the fees. They also make money off of just synthetic fees. So they're literally buying it from themselves. So they're not actually moving hand to hand, but they're still charging you a big fee. Yeah, everybody's wanting to get their hand in it, and I mean, it's becoming way too saturated. Yeah, it's going to be very impactful, but I can't wait until we actually see what comes out of it. It'll be something that I think will be pretty serious. Yeah, the market's still moving kind of slow. It's probably where all the people from stocks going to lunch. Silver moved down about 1% there. S&P 500 is coming down a little bit more. Getting ready to be the lowest it's been all day. Coinbase down almost 9% now. Pretty big loss. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what they're doing. Everybody's just trying to get a piece of the pie. That's how I see it. Oh, yeah, of course. That's exactly what they're going for. Pretty big green candles coming on everything right now. 15 minutes still looks pretty rough. You can see we're kind of not really moved in about the last 15, 20 minutes. Just back and forth. Oh, yeah. Even exchanges right now, if you really take a look at it, you'll notice it. Yeah, open-minded. That's kind of what I was looking at earlier. I'm kind of wanting to see this double bottom on the daily. If it does, it'll at least get us to 72,000. And breaking above that would signal around that 76 again. Would be super nice to see. But if we drop below this on the daily, which then could, take a few days to happen if the CPI news is bad, we will probably see that 60,000, if not that 55. That 55 is going to be a huge number. That's where a lot of people is taking a massive hit. If you're just now tuning in, make sure you hit that like button. It really helps out the channel. Yeah, right now, like everybody wants their hand in it. Yeah, I would like to even fill the gap up to 67. I think that would be good. Like if you take a look at XRP on like the 4 hour, we break out of that trend, but we've put ourselves right back in it. So you see how we jump right here, but now we can literally follow the trend. So I think probably within the next few hours, we're going to either get a clear direction of going downward or trending back up closer to the resistance instead of the support. Right now is just one of these low volume hours that we see throughout the day, usually between like 9:30 a.m. Eastern time to 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. That's when we have a lot of volume and volatility. And then sometimes around 1 to 4 o'clock in the evening Eastern time would be pretty good too. We're coming up on it though. Yeah, we're having so many doji candles right now. It's insane. What it is, they're probably trying to force people to go one direction. We're not really seeing a lot of exchanges also push out push out notifications. Whenever you see that, usually we see a jump. Oh, yeah, definitely if you're going to get back in, definitely whenever it drops real low. I mean, it really is a good time to do so. Because you got to think, that's how the market's going to do it. I think we will eventually see a super cycle, but I think we're going to follow the 4-year cycle. And then I think we're going to see another jump before we would see the 4-year cycle bull run start again. Oh, yeah, Ripple is, kind of banking on XRP. As XRP stays higher, they can sell it for more OTC that they have in the bank that they sell every single month. I'm waiting on their quarter 1 earnings too. Their quarter 1 earnings will probably pop up maybe April or May, which will be a good, indication of what could happen, honestly. Yeah, Ripple trying to be a bank is just trying to make some extra money for themselves, is how I see it. If they can sell RLUSD and even if they can attach XRP to it one day, that's still kind of a major stretch. Because that's been talked about since like the last decade. Yeah, we're back up to that 66,000 Bitcoin. Pretty nice move on gold and silver too. S&P 500 is looking good. So it looks like the whole market is just following each other. Both stocks, metals, and crypto. I would love to see about a 5 to 10% pump. Yeah, Ripple is trying everything to keep the narrative pretty high. You got to think, crypto's volume is down in like search history. It's also down overall, like pretty much everywhere. It's lost even a lot of holders. A lot of people's pulled out. The people that buy during the bull run are usually seeing it and just buying, X amount. Then they see it crash and then they say it's a scam. That's typical. That's usually what we see in these cycles. Remember, guys, none of this is financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. But it does look like we're getting ready to come back up, which is good. That's what we want to see. Yeah, I don't think it'll come to 75 cents over the weekend unless we see huge CPI numbers. That's going to be negative for us. 75 cents would be a big stretch to come down to. That would be almost a 50% loss, I think. So yeah, if we go down to it, we can kind of, even from where we are now down to $1.11. So to get to 75 cents from where we are, we need a 45% loss. So we would have to lose 45% on XRP, which is around 80 billion just in market cap to get down to 75 cents. I think even testing that dollar will be super tough to get down below it. There'll be a lot of entries and exits around that level. I am still bullish long term on crypto. Talking about long term, I'm still super bullish. I do think XRP, Bitcoin, all that stuff's going to do good in the long term. You know, the big percentage gains like everybody expect, you know, is really hard to do whenever you got huge market cap coins. So you need a lot more entries, you need a lot more exits, a lot more leverage. Right now, everything is being deleveraged. Stocks, metals, all that stuff. People's getting into metals because there's a lot of inconsistencies. There's a lot of leverage being used overall, which does impact how most people trade. Yeah, a week ago I was saying it was going down below $1.60. Yeah, see, these were my targets. Like, it was like probably late January, early February. I was saying Bitcoin was getting ready to see a massive drop. You can see there's my target number one, target number two. We're still currently at target number two. Yeah, the weekend's either going to have very low volume and not really much movement this weekend, or we're going to see movement from the CPI numbers. We don't really have any big catalysts coming next week. So, I mean, it's really free game. It's really just going to be what is said or what is done that is sudden catalyst, which is sudden moves, which is going to be very hard to be able to predict. You know, like a sudden catalyst being, you know, put out, or like tariff situation or so forth. Also, if you guys haven't, make sure you do come and check out BitUnix with the link down below. You can deposit and get up to 20% bonus and get up to 2,000 USDT in trading rewards. Even if you got a BitUnix account, you can click that link down below and sign up for the trade to get rewards. You don't have to make an account or anything whenever you already have one. All you got to do is sign in, trade, and get those 2,000 USDT and trading rewards as you do trade on BitUnix. If you don't have an account with BitUnix, you can also get the 20% bonus and the 2,000 USDT in trading rewards. This does end in 25 days. If you don't have an account, make sure you do click this link down below. Make sure you have the referral code Josh's Finance on it, and you guys can join. By doing this, you can get access to the trading view indicator you see on the screen that has over 15 indicators built onto one. Completely customizable to the way that you like it, and you can change it any way possible. You can also join the private Discord with the link down below in the description for signing up with the link down below in the description. Michael Saylor's position is currently still down over $7 billion on his Bitcoin investments. He's been dollar cost averaging ever since 2020, and he's currently down over 7 billion US dollars, which is huge. Oh yeah. Right now it's going to be a hit or miss on what we see is going to happen. Alrighty, everybody. If it does pick up sometime today, I will be going live again. I will also be making a video later today, depending on if we break below the 65.2 or if we're getting ready to go higher. So make sure you do subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, hit that like button. Check out the links down below in the description. I just want to thank every one of y'all for tuning in.